I recently had a student ask me about, out of all the meetings, which meeting did I think was the most effective? So I sat here and I tore myself up a little bit. Sorry, it's got to be the retrospective because that's a place where you have continual improvement. And that's a place where everybody can focus on doing better. But then I said, no, I think it has to be the daily scrum because that's where you get everybody on the same page. You start talking the same language. You want to make sure that if there are obstacles that they're either being addressed or that they're brought up in this meeting if absolutely necessary. And, it's good to know what's going on. But then I said, no, it's got to be backlog refinement because that's where you're getting everything prepared so you can make sure your sprint planning meeting is most efficient. And I said, well, wait a minute. If that's a preparation for sprint planning, then it has to be sprint planning because that's where, you're really getting into the minutia of what the team's going to be doing and making sure you get that right so the team can continue to make progress is important. And then I thought, oh my goodness, what good is it to build something if nobody looks at it? It has to be the review. So I was sitting there going, oh my goodness, that is the worst question ever from a student. And if you know, we were doing one of the Ask Anything rounds and that I do in my training all the time. And they were expecting an answer. They wanted an answer. So I had to sit and dig deep. So when I say I dug deep, I remember my early days of Agile, working at a startup where every day began with meetings. Planning on Monday, follow up on Tuesday, status report on Wednesday, dependencies on Thursday, retros on Friday. The team spent more time justifying their existence and justifying their work than they actually did doing it. This might sound a little political, but I really don't mean it to be that way. That's when I've learned something I've never forgotten as a CTO. An unnecessary meeting is a silent tax on time and energy. I'm going to say that again. An unnecessary meeting is a silent tax on time and energy. So here's an example. I'm going to call a developer Maria. Maria was one of our top developers, creative, focused, and committed. Yet every day she left meetings feeling visibly and physically frustrated. I felt like I spend more time explaining what I do than actually doing it, she told me one morning. I observed her for a day. She attended 6 meetings. She didn't write a single line of code. The result? An entire sprint lost to context switching and interruptions because she never got to do her job. One morning I received a calendar invite titled, Define Performance Strategy for Payment System. 8 people were invited. Before accepting, I asked in a team channel, what is the specific goal of this meeting? What info do we need to decide? Within an hour, one engineer shared logs and metrics, another proposed an indexing fix, and the infrastructure team suggested a caching layer. What would have been a 1-hour meeting turned into a 20-minute async thread. Everyone contributed with full context. No one was interrupted. The meeting was canceled before it even started. That's when it clicked. Many meetings aren't inevitable. They're just a reflexive response to uncertainty. But if you anticipate the goal, you might solve the meeting before it ever happens. It's the cost of a meeting isn't just related to calendar time. It's a cost of broken focus, lost context, and disrupted momentum. A 30-minute meeting with 6 people costs 3 hours of human attention. And if it doesn't end with a decision, that's a sunk cost. I want to say it was the Mythical Man Month. I think it was. Fred Brooks was the author of the Mythical Man Month. Adding people and communication to a late project only makes it later. And in Peopleware, another book, DeMarco and Lister reminded us that real productivity comes from meetings. Real productivity comes not from meetings, but from protecting deep, uninterrupted work. So what do we need to do instead? Well, as a tech leader, I've worked to create an environment where the work speaks for itself. Decisions are documented, not repeatedly discussed. Dashboards and KPIs replace status meetings. Stand-ups are check-ins that are fast and not rituals, mostly for accountability focus. We value clear, concise writing over vague alignment calls. These principles mirror many of the manifestos that I've seen out there from other agencies, where they default to asynchronous, document everything, and trust the team to operate without constant supervision. It's not just efficient, it becomes respectful at that point. So if you're trying to show respect for the team, it doesn't mean that you're going to kill all your meetings. So a lot of people come at me now. Don't come at me sideways. A lot of people come at me sideways and say, "So you're saying we should never meet? We should never have meetings?" Of course not. Some meetings really matter to resolve a conflict, to build connection, to unblock an urgent decision. But those meetings are way more rare than the meetings we feel like we need to have every day. I just think the rest of the work, if you did this, could be replaced or automated or avoided entirely in meetings. You don't need to have a meeting to get those things done. A good meeting can save a situation, but a bad meeting can kill a day. So you gotta take that into consideration before you call a meeting. One of the biggest offenders I saw was a scrum master who every time the team would deviate even a little bit from the expectation during a daily scrum, whoop, let's take it offline, take it offline, take it offline. We don't need to do it now. Offline, offline, oh, offline. I'm just like, geez. Every single time he said, let's take it offline, what he didn't realize was he was creating another meeting. And the team was so frustrated. They were just like, I spend, more than half my damn meetings. And they were right. So I think that the biggest job you can do as a leader is to protect your team from those wasteful meetings, to make sure they have just enough that they can to establish whatever you're trying to do, whatever your goal is. You want to establish a set of productivity that's unsurpassed. And you want to make sure that the meeting has the rats. It has a clear roster of only the people that need to be there. It has a good agenda. It's time boxed. And I think that if you do those things, those are the things that are going to help you be successful, not just in this meeting, but in all your meetings. So that's going to do it. So the most effective meeting is actually the one that never happens. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, learn more at AgileDad.com. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.